Sanbonani, welcome back, Abafundi. We are carrying on with our study of future value annuities, and we are hoping that you've tried the questions on page 17. Remember, if you haven't tried them, rather give them a go than just watching us solve them, because that's not going to help you, right? You need to try them yourself. Right, so this one, I invest 300 Rand per month for 5 years, right? Interest is paid at 9% per annum compounded monthly. How much will I have in the account immediately after my final payment? Well, that's just the straightforward use of this formula. F equals X. Our X is going to be 300. That's my monthly investment. Open brackets 1 plus. Now my interest rate, remember, is the interest rate per month. So I need to take my 9%. That's 9%, 0.09. Need to divide it by 12. All right. And remember, it's 5 years. So N is not the number of years, N is the number of payments I'm going to make. So 5 years monthly, 5 times 12, 60, minus 1. And on the denominator, I just have my same interest rate of 0.09 over 12. Okay, let's see what that all comes to. Let's bring up our calculator and take a look. Okay, so it is 300. Open brackets, fraction, open brackets, 1 plus fraction, 0.09 divided by 12 to the power of 60 minus 1 over 0.09 over 12. Okay, and we get 22,627 and 24 cents. and 24 cents. Okay. Right, I'm just going to check that I've got that number correctly. Yes, I have. Okay. Then the next one. How much should we invest each month if we wish to raise a sum of 10,000 Rand in 2 years with interest at 12% per annum compounded monthly? Okay, now as soon as I see 12% per annum compounded monthly, I actually know that my I is going to be 1%. It's actually going to be 0.12, that's 12%, divided by 12. It's actually 0.01. That just simplifies my formula slightly now, because I want the final amount to be 10,000 Rand. I don't know what X is, and I've got 1.01, 12 payments per year, 2 years, 24. All right, that's I, 1 plus I to the N. Okay, minus 1 over I. And let's have a look. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to work out what this stuff in the square bracket is. Right, let's take a look. It's 1.01. It's fraction button first. Fraction 1.01 to the power of 24 minus 1 over 0.01. Okay, and it's about 26.973. All right. Now, if we look at what we've got here, we've basically got 26.97 times X equals 10,000. So what I want to do to get X is I want to divide both sides by this number. But I'm not going to use this number rounded off. I'm going to use the exact answer as per my calculator. Now my calculator says 26.9. That answer is already stored in answer. I'll show you that if we go answer equals, there it is. That's our answer. So if I now take my 10,000 Rand, I think it was 10,000. Yeah, 10,000. That's 1,000. 10,000 divided by answer equals, and I get 370.73 cents. All right, 370 and 73. Okay, notice that amount, if I work out that payment amount and I multiply it by 24, I won't get 10,000 Rand. Okay, I get just short of 8,900 Rand. The rest of the money comes from the interest that each of those payments earns. Okay, right. Number 3, how long will it take to raise that number that amount with monthly payments of 4,000 Rand if interest is paid at that. I'm just going to write the formula down again. All right, here's the formula. F equals X, square brackets, 1 plus I to the N minus 1 over I. There are 4 variables in this formula. There's F, there's X, there's I, and there's N. And in this question, the one that we're looking for is N. How many monthly payments? All right, that's what we are wondering. What is N? Okay, so we know that we want the future value of all these payments to be 303,333. The payments themselves are 4,000 Rand. Okay, and our interest rate is 1 plus, our interest rate is 10%, but remember that's 10% per annum, so we need to divide that, that's 10%, 1/10. We need to divide that by 12, and then raise to the power n. Remember, n is not years, n is the number of payments or the number of months. Okay, and then on the bottom, we've got 0.1 over 12. Now, we are trying to solve for n. N is in the exponent. When we are solving an equation with a variable in the exponent, we're going to use logs. Okay? Right, so just be mindful of that. Okay, what we're going to do, remember the really important idea with solving any equation is we've basically got a set of scales. Okay, so, and they are, both sides are balanced. So whatever we do, the equal sign represents that balance. Whatever we do to the one side, we must do to the other side. Let's start off by dividing both sides by 4,000. So 303,333 over 4,000. And that will equal 1 plus 0.1 over 12 to the n minus 1 over 0.1 over 12. Okay, now we've got a fraction on both sides, but we're trying to get rid of the stuff that's happening to n. So let's multiply both sides by 0.1 over 12. So now we're going to get 303,333 over 4,000 times by 0.1 over 12. Now don't be scared of this. This is just a number. Our calculator can work that out, and we'll work it out just now. And that's going to be 1 plus 0.1 over 12 to the power of n minus 1. Okay, now I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I'm going to get 303,333 over 4,000 times 0.1 over 12. And that's going to equal 1 plus 0.1 over 12 to the power of n. Okay, sorry, I also need to, don't forget to add 1. We're adding 1 to both sides. So plus 1 equals that. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of log form. Okay, essentially we've got a big number here. Something equals something to the power of n. Okay, and both of those things so far are just numbers, and there's our variable. So we're going to take it out of exponent form into log form, and this is a topic that we did last term. Remember, n is going to be log, the base remains the base. There's the base, 1 plus 0.1 over 12 of all this stuff. Okay, when I say all this stuff, we're talking 303,333 over 4,000 times 0.1 over 12 plus 1. Okay, let's put all that into our calculator and see what happens. Okay, so log 1 plus fraction button 0.1 over 12, and now we've got fraction button 303,333 over 4,000 times fraction button 0.1 over 12 plus 1, and we get 59 almost exactly. And so the answer is 59 months. Okay, Then it asks how much interest was earned in this question. Okay, and if we look at it, we are going to make 59 payments of 4,000 Rand. Right, now that comes to 50 times 4 would be 200,000 Rand, and 9 times 4 is 36. So this comes to 236,000 Rand. That's how much we actually put in. I'm just going to confirm that calculation because I'm a bit tired and so it might be wrong. I hope it's not wrong. 59 times 4,000. Okay, there it is, 236,000. That's how much we put in. But we end up with 303,333 Rand. So the difference between those two numbers will give us the interest that we earned. All right, and let's just see what that is. So 303,333 minus our answer is going to be 67,333. 67,333 Rand. Okay, and that is interest. Okay. Right. Now, let's take a look at number 5. Once again, I'm just going to write the formula down before we go any further. So there we have it. F equals X, square brackets, 1 plus I to the power of N minus 1 over I. Once again here, I'm seeing that I is 0,12 over 12. Now, because that works out so nicely, I'm just going to use my I value as 0,01. It's 12% per annum, compounded monthly. It's 1% per month. Okay, this is how much will I have after 10 years. Okay, so I make payments for 8 years. All right, and then I leave the money in the account. And the question is, how much is in the account after 10 years? Now, there's an important idea here, and we've spoken about it before. What this formula is going to give us, it's going to give us the balance as we make our last payment. 301,01, 8 years times 12, 8 times 12, 96 payments over 0,01. Okay, let's work that out. $300. Open brackets, fraction button. 1,01 to the power of 96 minus 1 over 0,01. Okay, it wanted us to close out that bracket. Sorry. Yeah, I've got a bracket there that I don't need. There it is, 47, 9, 7, 8, and 19. 47, 9, 7, 8, and 19. Now, I don't carry on making payments, but this money sits in the bank and continues to earn interest, compound interest. Remember this formula? This is our basic kind of bread and butter compound interest formula. All right, so what happens is that this value of 47, 9, 7, 8, 19, and I'm not going to use that value, I'm going to use the exact value, but that value becomes the p-value into this calculation. So the amount that I end up with is going to be that. Remember, my interest rate is 1%, so the multiplier is 1,01, 1 plus I, okay, 1 plus 0,01, and now 2 more years. 2 years, but the interest is compounded monthly, so 24 months, okay, and that will give us our final balance. Let's take a look at what it is. So we're going to take that number multiplied by 1,01 to the power of 24. Okay, and we get 60,919,57. 60,999.57. 60,919.57. Notice how I've left a little space after the 60 as a thousand separator. So it just makes the number easier to read. Okay. Right, now let's look at this one. Ms. Kuzwayo invests 10,000 Rand per quarter into an account paying that, compounded quarterly. She does so for 10 years. And then she leaves the money in the account. Okay, so similar question to the one that we've just done. Try pausing the video and trying this question yourselves. Okay, so here's the formula. F equals x, 1 plus I to the n minus 1 over I. Okay, so the balance as she makes her last payment is going to be 10,000 Rand. Those are quarterly payments. Okay, the interest rate is 1 plus 0,1. That's 10% per annum, but we must divide by 4. And she does this for 10 years. Now, 10 years is how many quarters? All right, there are 4 quarters in 1 year, so there are 40 quarters. She's going to make 40 payments, okay, over I, and I is 10% divided by 4. Okay, we can work that out. Let's get it. It is, in fact, 10,000, open brackets, fraction, open bracket, 1 plus 0,1 fraction over 4 to the power of 40 minus 1 over fraction 0,1 over 4, close bracket. 67,402 and 55. But now she leaves this in the account for 3 more years. And this now earns interest. And again, it earns interest according to the formula that we wrote up just now, this red formula just at the top of the screen there. I'll write it again. A equals P, 1 plus I to the n. That basically is just now the P value in this calculation. So she ends up with, okay, her final amount is going to be this number, 67,402.55. Although I've written it rounded down here, I'm going to use the full value on my calculator. 1 plus, now the interest rate, remember, is 0,1 over 4. Now, 3 years. How many quarters are there in 3 years? Well, there's 4 quarters in a year, so there are 12 quarters. So that's the calculation we now need to do. That is already in my answer. So when I go times, I'm now just going to go 1 plus 0,1 over 12 to the power of 12. Okay, and we get 74,460.48. 74,460 Rand and 48 cents. Okay, how much interest does she earn in total? Well, that's very easy, all right, because it's going to be the total amount that she ends up with, 74,460 and 48 cents, minus all the amounts that she put in. And the amounts that she put in, well, she made 40 payments of 10,000 of, sorry, this, I worry that I've left off a, no, that's right. She made 40 payments of 10,000 Rand. Okay, so I'm just worried that this is, no, that could be correct. Okay. Okay, I realized I put 1,000 into my calculator and I picked up that we'd made an error because it wasn't kind of looking right. So this is actually 10 times bigger. This is actually 674,000 025,55. All right, so 025,55. Okay, so this number is actually just 10 times bigger as well. So it's actually 744,605. I'm just rounding it off. Okay, there it is. So that's roughly how much. It's not exact because I've now rounded it off. But so she ends up with 744,605, and she's paid in 744,605. She's paid in 40 payments of 10,000 rand. Now 40 payments of 10,000 rand is 400,000. This is where I saw it was obviously gone wrong. Okay, so she ends up with 744,605, and she's paid in 400,000. So the difference must be interest. And so the interest is actually 344,605. Okay. Right, we're going to stop there. Before the next lesson, we'd like you to try the following 4 questions, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay. We just want you to be careful, all right, with these questions, because there's a little bit of a catch here. Right, just think carefully about how many payments are being made, but have a go and we will look at them together next time. Have a great day, everyone. God bless. Nkulunkulu anibusise nonke.